What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Key coming at y'all boys with a brand new video. Now, I know. It's a lot of Julio, Foolio stuff going on. It's a lot. But we're turning away from the people who ended his life and we're going towards his own associates. Now, dude named KeeReacts. If you watched the last video, you'll know that, well, not the last video, but the video before the last video on Foolio, that KeeReacts was actually one of his right-hand mans, and he actually had a case when he was 16 where he ended another high schooler and wounded 2 others. So, with that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and get into this video. He just been indicted by the feds while on probation. Let's do it.
Jacksonville, Florida rapper KeeReacts, a Julio Foolio associate who was taken down by the feds after Foolio's murder. By now, everyone's well aware of what took place over a month ago with Julio Foolio being killed.
Was that case shorty?
All 5 of his accused killers are sitting inside of the Hillsborough County Jail in Tampa and awaiting trial. But the sad ending of his story is just a twist and turn in another. KeeReacts, an affiliate of Julio Foolio, could be seen celebrating with him in his final hours and on the news after the murder. He'd pay his respects through Instagram that same day, stating
like he should have been in the
Foolio
NFL or
is at
something.
peace. But even during his time of mourning,
like a running back.
The feds show no sympathy. July 24th, 2024, the feds announced 22-year-old Robert Howard III, who's more commonly known as KeeReacts, was being indicted on 2 counts for distributing 50 grams or more of meth.
Oh no.
If convicted on both counts, he faces a minimum mandatory 10 years and up to a life sentence in federal prison. According to the affidavit, on June 11th, an undercover ATF agent communicated with Kenny through iMessage, who agreed to sell him a half pound of meth for $850.
You just traded 10 years of your life for $850, and now he said 10 to life, I think. So you probably just traded your whole entire life for $850. Oh my God.
2 days later, ATF agents along with detectives from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office participated in a joint operation. They'd equipped the undercover with audio and video recording equipment along with $1,300 in cash. At 1:30 p.m., the undercover went to an address on Polk Ave, texting Kenny he'd arrived. Kenny walked out, got into the passenger seat of the undercover's car, and passed him the white bag in exchange for the money. After a short discussion, Kenny advised the undercover he could sell coke for reasonable prices, and by 1:35 p.m., the undercover was on his way back to the briefing location. At the ATF Jacksonville Division office, audio and video will be downloaded to a compact disc. Kenny could clearly be seen selling to the undercover, was easily identifiable, and according to the ATF, the home that the deal went down at is Kenny's residence. The bag...
You know, my parents always told me, don't do something if you're not gonna be good at it. Or don't do something if you're not good at it, or if you're not going to try your hardest to be the best at it, right? Crime, you have to be smart and you have to be good at doing what you're doing. You have to be a smart businessman and very, very savvy in the drug game, right? So, somebody that they say it's an undercover. So what I'm going to go off of, I'm going to assume that you've never sold to this person and you've never done business with this person. But you're so overly trusting. Like, why? You did it at your house. You didn't have no type of face covering, no nothing. You just walked outside, gave him the drugs. He gave you back the cash and you walked off. Well, actually, it was $850 times 2. Wait, what's it say? $850. So where did $1,300 come from? So you just had $1,300 for extra cash or something? I don't know.
Way out to 272 grams, testing positive for methamphetamine. So the feds essentially caught Kenny in a calculated trap leaving him with no option but to plead guilty, as there isn't much to fight when you're on video at your house serving the feds. But why did they wait? The feds had him on June 13th. Foolio would be killed on June 23rd, but it wasn't until July 24th when Kenny would be arrested and violate his probation.
He might have.
It's like the feds waited to see how Kenny would react, knowing his history. See, Kenny was no more than just an affiliate of Julio Foolio, and back in 2018, his name would ring. Within the city of Jacksonville, two high schools would become known for their violent rivalry. You had William Raines on the north side and Robert E. Lee on the southwest side. Back in 2006, a 13-year-old was shot in a drive-by on his way home from a Raines game.
Gracious.
In 2007, two students were shot after a Raines vs. Lee game when someone fired 15 to 20 times outside the stadium. In 2012, a fight after the Raines-Lee game ended with a 20-year-old being shot. In 2016, the sound of a falling grill resembled a gunshot, leaving players taking cover on the field as fans ran for safety. And in 2017, players took off running mid-game after an off-field commotion and rumors of something happening. By 2018, Raines wasn't taking any chances. 30 police officers, 20 additional security guards, metal detectors, and wands were believed to be enough to keep the game safe.
But bro, if you gotta do all that, bro, y'all shouldn't even play each other, bro. I know it sounds good. Like even my high school, bro, I remember it's a McDonald's about 5-10 minutes away, depending on the lights and the traffic, right? Every time we played our rival school, which our rival school is basically just like the bigger high school, and we had broke off, and you know what I'm saying? So that's where the rivalry come from. They would go to this McDonald's and it would be an all-out war. People getting thrown through glass, people getting beat up on the little playground. Like, it was just a war inside of there after the game, bro. It was not safe, but it was iconic at the same time, because it's like, y'all know this is finna happen after the game. Like, everybody gonna go to McDonald's, they're gonna go to the Waffle House, they're gonna get it on. Like, that shit was crazy,
people
bro.
Had shown up to watch.
It died down though,
and by
but nobody ever got shot.
The game had to be stopped.
It wasn't that deep.
With players on both teams being instructed to get down on the field after a disturbance on Lee's side of the stands. The game would continue, and Lee would eventually beat Raines 16-15, ending the reigning state champions' 13-game winning streak. 3/4 of the fans in the stadium had left, and the teams had just made it to their locker rooms when gunfire erupted.
Yeah, we are just now getting confirmation from JSO that this is going to be a triple shooting. 2 people injured, 1 person is deceased. Let me step out of the way here. If we zoom the camera in right there, that is going to be the area where that field house is located. Again, we're just outside of the stadium here, Raines High School. Earlier tonight, Raines took on Lee High School. Everything appeared to be fine during the game, and then this happens.
As I was saying that, I'm listening to pow, pow. Pow, pow, pow. I'm a Vietnam veteran. The bullets was going this way. I know which way the bullets was going. Everybody was running, and they was right in this area right here, was shooting. Pow.
What's going on with your
And this was after the game.
After the game.
Officers would find 19-year-old Gerard Adams shot in the head, pronouncing him dead by the ticket area just outside the stadium. A 17-year-old male was found shot in the arm, and a 16-year-old female was shot in the foot, a wound that would leave her physically disabled. Speaking with police, one of the victims would claim Robert Howard, aka Kenny Caps, shot him.
Oh, he got told on.
Upon further questioning, he admitted he never saw Kenny with a gun, but provided details about an earlier dispute where Kenny told him, "Somebody going to die tonight." 2 additional witnesses would come forward, stating they saw Kenny with a gun the night of the game. One would claim to have seen a confrontation between Kenny and the 17-year-old surviving victim during the game. He then saw Kenny approach Gerard after the game in the courtyard, where he pulled a gun from his waistband and aimed it at him. The witness didn't see him shoot, as he'd already started running away, but 25 seconds later he heard the shots. That same witness would identify Kenny by photo lineup. The second witness says she saw Kenny, who she personally knows, confront Gerard after
and I
the
also
game.
want to tell y'all this, all y'all youngers, if you do watch this video, usually the people who tell on you is not somebody from the other side. It's not somebody who just randomly seen y'all. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be somebody that you know.
She'd claimed to witness Kenny pull the
like
gun from his waistband and shoot Gerard in the head. As she was running away, she heard more gunfire, and when shown a picture, she identified Kenny as the one she saw shoot Gerard. Multiple shell casings were recovered at the scene, and later testing would confirm all shots were fired from one gun. Detectives would determine a fight broke out between Kenny and the victim. They were both ejected from the stands, but made their way back into the game. That's when detectives believed Kenny targeted the two males, shooting them both as the female was shot by a stray. 16-year-old Kenny's mugshot could be seen all over the news, as it was announced he was arrested at his school and charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder for the triple shooting. Sheriffs announced the shooter and both male victims all have associations with known criminal street gang members. Kenny was from the north side of Jacksonville, the same area as Rains High. Gerard, the victim, was more commonly known throughout Jacksonville as Spaz, and he was from a hood on the east side known as 1200. Many rumors have spread over exactly what took place on the night of the game, with another major name being brought up. It's said that Kenny was with Adrian Gaynor that night, and Adrian would be famously known throughout Jacksonville drill as Bibby. According to Reddit rumors, Kenny and Bibby disrupted the game when they got in a fight with Spaz and his friend named Will. It's actually believed Bibby was the one who fired the fatal shot killing Spaz, while Kenny shot the friend. But somehow, witnesses were only able to identify Kenny. 1,353 days later, Kenny would plead guilty to reduced charges of manslaughter and aggravated battery. And apparently the charges were reduced because of the witnesses. Say Cheese would interview Kenny Caps, where he would speak on the fact that the witnesses told but refused to testify.
So what's the point of telling?
Kenny would be sentenced to 15 years on a split sentence, meaning he'd have to serve 5 years in Florida State Prison with the rest of his time to be served on probation. He'd receive credit for the 3.5+ years he spent in county jail and would only spend 17 months inside of actual prison before being released. While some would say he got a good deal.
So that would make sense why Bibby is so dissed. Now obviously they say that Bibby was killed by Queso. Queso being Young and Ace's top killer, top shooter, whatever you want to call him. He right now fighting for his life. He on a body. His dad told on him. Yes, if you didn't know the story of Queso, his dad told on him. So with that being said, man, it's crazy. So it just shows you like, and these be, I know I just dropped a video on it, but it's like a butterfly effect. Like, baby, you did that. You was a part of that. Then now we go through all this time and all this dissing back and forth, and it's awful wet, man. Who knows what would have happened? I ain't gonna cap though. It might have been a little bit worse. I don't know.
Thing comes with a price. While he was in jail in 2019, 16-year-old Bibby was killed inside of the Hilltop Apartments.
And gunfire erupts inside a Northwest Side apartment complex. It leaves this 16-year-old dead. Neighbors say that the shooting sounded like a war zone.
60 to 70 rounds had to be dropped in the course of maybe 15 seconds.
Bibby would always be praised by Julio Foolio, but would also become one of the most dissed names in Florida drill.
He was the
Only 8 months after Bibby's death, Kenny's father, Pokey, would pass away. Granted a furlough by the courts, Kenny was transported to his father's funeral in handcuffs and a uniform, as can be seen in a picture with Julio Foolio. Kenny would be released from prison in May of 2023, and 2 months after would start dropping music. Only lasting 14 months before being indicted by the feds, Kenny witnessed the death of Julio Foolio. He'd also witnessed the violence come back around full circle, as the 2 Murphy cousins charged as being 2 out of 3 shooters that ambushed Foolio are both from 1200 and both are related to Spaz, Kenny's victim.
The butterfly effect.
It's unclear what will happen to the remaining 9 years Kenny has on state probation, as this Fed case will take priority, meaning Kenny will have to finish one sentence before finishing the other. Now this is a tough situation, right? You got a 16-year-old Kenny Caps, who, according to his arrest paperwork, was 5'4".
I told you he was a midget
when he got arrested for the triple shooting. 16 years old, 5'4", fighting a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old that shouldn't have even been in that area because they weren't even from that side of Jacksonville. I don't know what happens in the fight, whether he's winning, whether he's losing.
Got beat up.
They end up outside of the stadium. Gunshots go off. One body, 2 attempts. Now, 15 years for killing someone and shooting 2 other people is a great deal at the end of the day. I mean, beating the case would be lovely, but 15 years for that is a good deal. The thing is, a split sentence is somewhat of a trap. See, Kenny Caps was only 16 when he caught this case, meaning he never lived in society as an adult or as a responsible adult, right? He's never worked, none of that. He was 16, went to jail for damn near 4 years, and then did another year and some change inside of prison. Came home, lasted 14 months. They're saying he was dealing meth. Apparently they have all the evidence against him. I just think it's weird that knowing he has technically a violent history because of his convictions, right? I mean, he pled out to manslaughter, so he can talk about the shit all he wants. But the feds knew he had a violent history. They catch him for the meth. They got him dead to rights. And then Foolio gets murdered, but they wait another month to see if anything happens.
If he was gonna slide.
It's almost like everything against him is a trap. You're giving a kid 10 years of probation, that's a trap. And then you catch him doing something, but you want to see if he's gonna go and retaliate because you know he's done some wild shit before. Now at the end of the day, we're responsible for our own actions, right? To hear that he only lasted 14 months, it sucks. And to hear that he came home to see one of his close friends get killed is even worse. This was the same friend that made it to his father's funeral that he had to show up to in handcuffs. Now, what's my opinion on what's gonna take place? I don't know how much time they can offer him in the feds. They say if he's convicted, it's a minimum mandatory 10.
800.
To hear that sounds crazy because that would mean if he gets hit with the minimum man, he's got to do 10 years. And once he's done with that, because he violated probation, the 10 years of probation he has, he was only out 14 months, so he has about 9 years left.
19.
It's very possible he could go to the feds, do his time in the feds, and then be transferred from a federal prison right back to the Florida Department of Corrections to finish out that 9 years. Unfortunately, it's a dirty game, and that's how they play. When you're dealing with the feds in the state, the punishment isn't together. It's 2 completely separate entities. So there is a chance he could get hit with 10 in the feds, have to do 9 in the state. Y'all do the math. But hey,
I think that's ridiculous. But this is another prime example of what happens when you get into the system and you get into the system early and it's for a violent crime. Now, selling drugs or whatever, those are one of the ones where it's like kind of, I think it's more so like a habitual thing, even though you get so much time for selling drugs, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, just think about it. He had an $850 deal and he's facing 10 to life. You might as well have just went big. Now, obviously, he's just not getting out, so he's trying to get his feet wet, but it still just doesn't even make sense. Foolio's your partner. You need to be around him rapping. It took you this long to get caught, bro. You could have had some motion within that almost 2 years you was out. But, hey, man, who am I to judge? But with that being said, it's your boy Key checking in, checking out. Make sure y'all boys like, comment, and subscribe. Get in that comment box. Tell me how y'all feel about the situation. Is it free Kenny Caps or keep Kenny Caps? Y'all let me know. With this being said, I'm gone.